It's Joelle at Brooklyn Book Doctor. How's it going? It's a chilly November day here in Brooklyn, and today I am talking to Sue Van Raes in Boulder of Boulder Nutrition. We are going to go live and talk about how she went from having a book idea to having a signed contract with an agent, and here I am. Hopefully this works. Sue, I'm trying to get you on. There we go. Hi.
Hi.
Here we are. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to see you.
You too. Looking sunny.
It is nice and sunny.
We are cold and chilly and sunny here. Hey everyone. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us. Oh, my screen's kind of crazy. Thank you, Sue, for coming on. Actually, really, I'm looking forward to this conversation because I love this story, and I think that I want to celebrate you getting an agent and signing with an agent, which is so exciting. And I also am excited to share this with people who are watching because it's so valuable to hear about other people's experiences and the winding path that sometimes our books can go on.
Definitely. Winding is a good word. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, Catherine says hi from Mississippi. Hi.
Hi.
So maybe you can start by telling us who you are, what you do, and the name of your book. We'll start with that.
The name of the book. Yes, I can. Well, I'm Sue Van Raes, and I am here in the Boulder area in Colorado. I'm the founder of Boulder Nutrition, which where I specialize in functional nutrition, food psychology, and integrative health. I also lead women's wellness and yoga retreats locally and internationally again, starting in January.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so far that's a green light. And
awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We missed those retreats last year. What else? And my book is really about our relationship to food and body and how to repair that relationship, which is such a epidemic of feeling out of sorts with body, with what to eat, with all the different things that are coming at us in the media. And the title of the book, which I don't know if it will stay the same, I'm hoping it will, but is right now Satiate. And and I've just been actually writing this morning and feeling really inspired and clear and getting some progress with the manuscript. So that's been exciting.
Awesome. That's such a good feeling.
Such a good feeling. Yeah.
Does it have a subtitle? I think it does, doesn't it?
The subtitle right now is Repair Your Relationship to Food and Your Body Through Functional Nutrition, Food Psychology, and Integrative Health.
Great. Awesome.
So really my sort of big heavy hitters in my work, all kind of merged together.
Amazing. Yeah, a book can really be like that, like the culmination of all your experience and your insights put together in a place where a lot of people can access that wisdom. You know, you work a lot one-on-one with people and in small groups, but now a wider number of people and variety of people can have access to you and everything that you've done over the past years of working with people in this way.
Yeah, it's exciting. And also trying to just speak to the people that need it most, and regardless of where they fall on the spectrum of knowledge, is really an interesting piece of the puzzle too.
Right.
Wanting to make sure that I cover the basics, but are not redundant with basics. It's an interesting place to kind of sort that out. So
especially when you're an expert in something, it's hard to know how to talk to everybody when you're thinking like up here with your knowledge, right, but you're trying to get people where they're really needing the help, and that's going to be a spectrum. So yes.
Yes.
So I want to give people a little background. You came to work with me last fall, almost like a little over a year ago. And you had a proposal then, a book proposal that you had drafted on your own, and you'd had some pretty well-connected agents or agents in high places look at it and give you their thoughts, and they were kind of like, and then you're like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do this? So tell us what happened in the past year. So that was where we started working together, and then you've been on this journey of revising and submitting, and now you recently signed with an agent. So
Yes.
what are some high points and low points of that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say that when we're writing about something we know a lot about, it doesn't necessarily mean we know how to format or write that content in a way that is attractive to, for example, publishers and eventually readers. And so I think that's where I got stuck, is like I knew what I was writing about, but I didn't necessarily know the best way to go about writing it. So when I came to work with you, it was so helpful because you really helped me reorganize my proposal and my sample chapters and get into a, sort of a way of thinking that was different than what I was currently doing. And it wasn't like the content was shifting so much, but it was a more subtle ways of presenting the content and organizing the content. And I really don't know if I could have figured, like, quote unquote, figured that out on my own. Once again, like when we're not an expert in publishing or editing, we don't necessarily know those things, even if we really know our work through and through. And that was a really great insight for me to learn, is that, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to create the support we need in whatever it is we're doing, because we just can't know all of these little nuances in these different fields that are really not our specialty, even though
That
they.
is so true. I'm so glad you said that.
It took me a while to get that. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. I took a couple of like online, master classes that were free, and I paid for a book proposal, like PDF kind of class that was really helpful. Like, it helped me with definition of terms and like what pieces needed to be in the proposal and all of that. But there was still this customized support that I did not have, that I was missing, and that clearly made a big difference for sure.
Yes, it really does. Because when you get that PDF document, you're like, oh, Lord, okay, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like forging ahead. Like, I'm going to read this all. I'm going to, put it into practice. But once again, you just can't get that same level of coaching or of reworking and sculpting that needs to happen for things to really come together. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so happy for you. I'm so grateful I could be helpful.
Yeah, it was integral, like definitely integral to me getting to this next step. So, yeah.
Wonderful. I love to hear that.
Great. Was there another part of the question I forgot?
Yeah, so we were working together, and you were revising, and you're having these insights and putting things in a different way and understanding more of the subtlety of like the industry and the pitching and the arrangement. And then you took it out, and you had some people who were some agents who were warm leads. And so walk us through a little bit of that process of, I know there was kind of a confidence piece too, because you'd taken your original draft out and then people were like, maybe, but no. So
right.
then you were taking it out again with that feeling of like, oh, is this ever going to work? So, and then now it did work. So take us a bit through that journey.
Yeah. So it's funny because I can go back to, my birthday was in January, and so is yours. And I think that you'll probably remember this. I'm such a Capricorn. I set this deadline of my birthday because I was kind of at the tail end of finishing the proposal as we were getting close to the end of 2020. And so I set this goal of finishing the proposal and getting everything like totally polished with your help by the end, or by my birthday, January 12th. So I did that because I have good follow through on things like that, possibly like obsessively goal oriented. And so, that was done, and that was a huge relief. But then there was this new phase, which was pitching. And luckily, right at the end of January was when you invited me to be part of your mastermind, which was about polishing and pitching. I think it's called Polish and Pitch.
Yeah.
And that was actually incredible timing because I kind of needed some feedback from, people and some support. And I think we all as a group really benefited from being able to share each other's wins and struggles and all of those things. And with your guidance, it really kept me on track with pitching, which, I could do that in like waves. researching agents, talking to people, finding agents that had the right genre for me, and then submitting, that's another completely different process than writing a proposal or than doing my work. Once again, it's like I'd never really done that before. I'd pitched to a few agents before I met you, but nothing to that degree. And it was interesting. I started getting some great feedback, and there was a lot of hope. But it just sort of kind of just plateaued, where there was these interested agents out there in the world that had told me they were interested, and loved my proposal, etc., but then hadn't really gotten back to me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly what that means still. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to this day if I hear from some of those earlier agents that were interested, because in my experience, the publishing industry is really, really slow. Do you remember when I heard from that agent from 9 months prior, before I even started working with you? And I was like, this is based on my old proposal, right? But things take a while. So I was trying to be patient, but I was also trying to be persistent. And you can only circle back with people so many times before it's you need to just take a break and regroup. So I was really excited, and I had a few really big name agents actually interested early on last year, and then things sort of plateaued, and towards the middle of springtime, let's say May-ish, and I was just kind of waiting. I'd exhausted what I could see as the agents that I could get my hands on as far as names and the right fit, and I was kind of feeling what's going on, and stuck in this place of waiting. And I remember I reached out to you during that time, because I just was what should I do next? Is this mean and it's a no? What does it mean? And I think that's where probably I would say was the hardest place for me, because I'm kind of a doer, and so to not be doing something felt really like I wasn't moving closer towards my goal in my book. So the summer came along, and I had a lot of stuff going on with both of my kids going to college this fall, and both of them moving to new houses and new towns. And it was a lot of kid stuff. And also it was summer. And so there was a lot more play and, just kind of enjoying that phase of the seasons. And so I kind of gave myself the summer to just be okay, I need to figure out what to do next. And I need to sit with it and not rush that next decision. I was contemplating if I should start pitching to smaller publishing companies that don't require an agent. I wasn't sure if there was something missing in my book. I was trying to keep building with my platform, which is always important with publishing. And I kept circling back in my mind to these people that were still out there interested and wondering if they would respond. And then as the fall came and my kids kind of got settled and I got a little bit more freed up in my mental space, I was ready to start pitching again and hoping that there'd be a new outcome. And at that point, I actually met someone who was a podcast guest, actually. And it kind of goes back to one of your biggest heavy hitter type suggestions, which is, referrals. And I had thought about that a lot during the early part of the year, but, it's all the people I knew and the authors that I knew and that were in my circle and that I felt like I could comfortably reach out to, there wasn't really anyone that came to mind that was oh, well, I could ask them to introduce me to their agent, and it's a little bit of a tricky ask. I mean, because I feel when, asking someone for that level of referral, which may be the person they worked with, it's so intimate. I really had to tread lightly around that. So I had this podcast guest in my, in this early fall, and she offered Like, I didn't even ask. And she was like, oh my God. Like, we had a lot in common and became friends. And when she found out about my book proposal being done, and she'd just been through all of this, right? Like, very recently, because her book was just coming out in October. And so, yeah, she basically did an email introduction to her agent. And because we were in similar fields, her agent was in the right, genre for what kind of work she was looking to represent. And yeah, and then it was like pretty fast. We started meeting and seeing if it would be a good fit. And I think we had 2 preliminary meetings, where, she had looked over my proposal and was getting an idea. And then it just like happened. I kind of had a premonition that this next meeting it would happen, but I wasn't sure, because normally, like, meeting number 3 with an agent, I was like, she's not going to keep wasting her time if she's not interested. And so she basically made an offer, and it was it was actually really good timing. And that, I think, was something that I tended to overlook in the whole journey, or at least I was sort of like ignoring, because, as being focused on this end goal, it was hard for me to be patient and like allow for this divine timing to kind of come in. And I remember you and I talking early on about, okay, let's shoot for May, and then all of a sudden I had May in my mind, that I should have an agent by May. And then all of a sudden I didn't. And so, yeah, there was some patience required for sure. And some like digging deep into believing in my book. Yeah. And so I signed with her, and we're just now kind of launching into some of the preparatory work to get ready for publishers. And that's involving another chapter and, some polishing in the proposal, which I haven't even really received yet. She's doing that part right now. And some platform building, which of course is important for publishers. And so, yeah, it's like, I don't know, I'm in this new phase, and I'm relieved, but it's also terrifying in a way. I mean, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like, okay, what's next? This is all new territory. And the other night when I was going to sleep, I told my partner, Jason, I was like, by the way, I don't know how to do this. And there's parts of it I know how to do, but I definitely feel like new territory for me. And that's...
Absolutely. Well, I think even if you're an experienced author, it's always new territory. Like, maybe you know the ropes a little bit, but the basics, but you don't know how things are going to pan out. You said so many great things in there. I just want to recap a little bit
Sure.
of, that you had a goal and you met the goal, and you had connections and you used them. And then it didn't really seem to be going that way. Like, it wasn't going in the timing that you wanted it to go in. The connections, they were receptive, but they weren't panning out. And then there was this moment where you're like, well, I don't know what to do now. I can't really give up on the project. It's still important to me. And also, I'm out of ideas for this moment of how I'm going to go forward. And then you're like, okay, summer's here. I'm just going to chill for a second. My family needs me. And also, I'm out of ideas. Mm-hmm. And then it was through your podcast guest that she made the connection. And that can be a tricky ask, to ask someone to connect you to their agent, because you don't know how they feel about that at all. And if you don't know them very well, that can seem sort of presumptuous or something. But people like her are out there where they are really happy to connect you. They want to help you. And so for those of you who are listening to this, I just want you to know that some people really want to do that for you. So it's very common, of course, to have that trepidation of like, weird thing to ask for. It's just about connecting with the right people who totally want to do that for you. I mean, it takes some courage, no matter what, to ask for a favor. And that what you said, that the process didn't end up looking like what you thought it was going to look like. And there is both like the goal setting of like, I want it in this timing. And then there's the like, okay, but now I'm just going to relax. And then like, okay, now we move forward. So there's this blend of like setting these goals for yourself, reconsidering, taking a rest, setting another goal, so the process it's it's linear, but it's also other things as well. And it happens in its own timing, which is super weird and how it always goes.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting when we put time frames on things that are really out of our control. Like it's fine for me to put a time frame on like, okay, I'm going to finish this chapter by X date because I'm in control of that. I can decide on mostly my time and how I'm going to use it. But yeah, when we're trying to set a goal that comes from, that we don't have control over the outcome of the timing, it is really interesting to get our minds set on that. And it can almost get in the way, I think, for me, when I get too attached to something in that way.
Well, it's just easy to get disappointed.
Exactly.
But you need the goal.
Yeah.
You need the goal to get you through.
Right. It's like there's such an interesting, like, both are true, and just figuring out how that flows within ourselves is so the ticket, I guess.
Exactly. And so I think it's going to be similar as you're pitching publishers.
Yeah.
I hope faster, and your agent's going to open doors for you, and with any luck there'll be multiple publishers interested, so you'll be able to have conversations and make decisions about editors just the same way you made decisions about agents.
Yeah.
So I have full faith that you can go through this uncharted territory. You can sail through it with flying colors. I have full faith, especially since, you have all this experience behind you now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that was, well, we'll see. But in my forecast, it may have been the hardest phase. But that's also coming from the naivete of me not having done all the other things.
Right.
But it felt like to me, like getting that representation is going to propel me forward in a faster way. Because now there's like, she's working with it, I'm working with it, and there's this acceleration with like double momentum. So we'll see. But it's exciting, and it's a little daunting, but I'm ready for it. And I feel like the timing is good. And so it's just now about surrendering to the process to some degree.
Yes. Yeah, I think, we had these issues around food and eating and body image and wellness before the pandemic, but then being isolated for so long, those things have been exacerbated. So there's more need than ever for a guide through these issues to a holistic place of wellness.
Yeah, it does seem timely for that as well. And I also think that people are home hunkered down more, even if things are opening up. Like I know for me, there's sort of like a comfort in the simplicity of staying home more often. And that also creates more space to do that type of thing, like read books and work on ourselves and have more personal inquiry. And so hopefully that works well with the timing of my book. We'll see.
Totally. So, I just want to say for people who join later, this is Sue Van Raes of Boulder Nutrition, and I'm Joelle Han of Brooklyn Book Doctor, and we were talking about how Sue got her agent recently, signed with her agent, which is super exciting. And now I want to ask you, so you and your agent, do you have a time frame for when you're going to submit? Is that on the books yet?
Softly, it's on the books for after the new year. So probably I would say mid to late January. But I haven't received some of the feedback and some of the things she wants me to do within my proposal yet. So that's why I'm writing another chapter, because this next chapter in my book, I'm sure you'll remember it, the sort of very scientific chapter actually is the chapter that is the most distinct in my work as far as setting me apart from like what's already out there. And so we're going to include that. So I'm going to actually have 4 chapters written instead of 3 for publishers. So it's kind of working out well. She's kind of dissecting my proposal and, going to give me some feedback on things to update. And then I'm going to work on my chapter. And then hopefully in December, I'll be able to get all those polishes done within the proposal. And, then it's kind of like game on, I guess.
By birthday 2022.
Yeah, exactly. I know, I was thinking of that. I kind of set that as like a time to be done with all this again, which is so here we are, like through the seasons.
Also, I just want to say that even though you went to her with a good proposal, this is true for agents. They're going to have their own things that they want you to do, or their own like up to the minute knowledge of what's happening in the industry, and
Absolutely.
they want you to tweak it for that. So that is just totally on par for the
Yeah, and
course.
I don't even know at all, other than some of the more competitive analysis books that are newer that haven't even, that have been published in the last year, are some of the things she wants in there as far as, what sets me apart from that. And also, just endorsements and things that I can add to the proposal that are like done deals, as far as, other people that are endorsing it or sending in some good recommendations and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I mean, I think I'm curious to see what she has to say about it. It's still, the jury's out.
Well, you're signed with her. I'm sure she's excited to take it out in the new year. And like you said, timing is great.
Yeah, timing is great. So,
Well,
yeah,
congratulations.
thank
I'm
you.
super psyched for you.
Thank you. I feel
And
incredibly grateful for all of your help on this project and your support. And sort of at one point, I remember asking you, like, is this going to even happen? And you were like, of course it is. And sometimes I have to go back to that in my head and be like, okay, Joelle said, of course it is. So that will be going when I start to have more self-doubt. It's like the process definitely brings up all the little voices.
Oh, everything.
Yeah,
Yes. Inner critic, imposter, any little nasty gremlins that are in there. Yeah.
totally.
They
Yeah.
all come. Yeah, I never had a doubt. But
Thank you.
but I do understand the need to hear someone say, like, don't worry about it. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Well, your voice embedded into my inner dialogue. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Oh, great. Well, thanks so much for coming on and telling us about this today. It's been super fun, obviously, to work with you and also to hear about this. And I just can't wait to track your submission process, or just give us updates on how it's going
Yeah, I'm sure I'll
early in the new year.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much for having me. It's fun to celebrate this.
It really is. Oh, that's the other important thing, to celebrate. You got
Hmm.
to celebrate.
Yeah, it's like I feel like celebrating, and then I also feel a little bit like, do I celebrate yet, or do I wait to get the publisher? So
No,
I'm like,
celebrate.
but
Celebrate. No,
yeah.
don't wait. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely been.
Bring in that happy energy.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to share what's next with you.
Likewise. Great. Thanks for coming, and we'll talk soon.
For sure. Take care, Joy.
Okay. Bye, Sue.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.